Welcome everybody to our 7th Ask the Experts Zoom session. I'm honored here to welcome Shula, Witkow, and Hillary Irwin, and also have Rachel Heisler, the Executive Director of American Friends of Soroka Medical Center. Welcome you all and introduce our experts today. Rachel?
Thank you, Pazit, and welcome to all. I am so excited for today's topic as we navigate the new life amidst a pandemic. The food we prepare and eat is truly one of the only things that we can actually control. Yet these days, even that can feel out of control as we turn to food for comfort. So let's learn together how to craft a personal strategy to help us stay safe and healthy, optimize our health, and deal with disease. The success of this series is thanks to the leadership of our amazing board of directors. American Friends of Soroka is a community of leaders coming together from diverse backgrounds to support one of Israel's most important and vital institutions. Each one brings to us a world of expertise and commitment. Thank you, Pazit, our Director of Development, for your outstanding work in curating the series and affording us the opportunity to establish direct dialogue with our community, even while apart. Soroka Medical Center in Be'er Sheva is the only major medical center in Israel's vibrant and diverse Negev region. It is one of Israel's largest and most strategic and acclaimed institutions, and it is situated a mere 25 miles from Gaza. We will be continuing the series and diving deeper into the topics that resonate most deeply for our audience and where Soroka can support participants with our expert medical professionals. In the meantime, save the date for July 8th, where we will bring you an autism webinar in collaboration with Ben-Gurion University. Today, we are honored to have with us two world-class experts. Shula Witkow is joining us from Israel, where she is the Deputy Director of the Dietetics Unit at Soroka Medical Center and an instructor at the Rekanati Nursing School at Ben-Gurion University. This is like taking care of the nutrition for an entire city, as the Soroka community comprises patients, visitors, and staff, and we are the largest employer in the Negev. Shula has been a senior dietitian and educator at Soroka since 1992, with a professional expertise in diabetes. She has participated in several important clinical research studies and is a diabetes educator at Soroka Diabetes Clinic. She's an active lecturer on proper nutrition for dieters, as well as prevention of diabetes and maintaining proper sugar levels for diabetes patients. She also has expertise as a geriatric nutritional advisor. A graduate of Hebrew University, Shula received her Master's of Public Health at BGU and is a sought-after nutrition resource in Greater Be'er Sheva.
Rachel, could you put on your video back on?
Let's see where it went. I can't get it back on by myself.
So keep going, we hear you.
Okay. And now for our American expert. Hillary Irwin is a registered dietitian, a yoga teacher, and a mom, and she's based in New Jersey with a practice that serves the greater New York area. For the past 20 years, she has been teaching her clients to make nutrition and health part of their daily routine. Her clients are busy, motivated individuals who want education and guidance on fitting proper nutrition into their life. As a practitioner, Hillary becomes your partner in creating a nutritional program that works just for you. She has created, do you have my video yet? No, okay. A nutritional program that works just for you. She has worked with leading wellness companies, including Exhale Mind Body Spa and the Reebok Sports Club, and has been a regular contributor to several popular magazines and websites, and she lectures on healthy eating behaviors. Hillary holds a BS in nutritional sciences with a concentration in dietetics from Cornell and a master's degree in applied anatomy and physiology from Boston University. And she is an active member of the American Academy of Nutrition and Dietetics, the New Jersey Dietetic Association. Thank you all for joining us today, and I invite you to connect with us at soroka.org to keep informed of upcoming events and to learn about ways to support Soroka Medical Center. And now back to Pazit.
Thank you very much. So we're going to start. I'm going to remind again the people that just came in now, you have a Q&A button aside from the chat where you can ask your question by text anonymously or not anonymously, and we'll try to address it as we go along. So welcome, Shula, Hillary, we're so excited to have you here. I have a lot of questions that we received through the registration forms of people, and I'm going to start with one question that came a few times in different versions. So what really changed since COVID-19? People said, people shared what they changed. I'm going to keep it a little later, but I'm going to ask you first, what changed in your patients, with your clients? What is the most common concern that you're hearing about and addressing since COVID-19 started?
I will start.
Sure.
So the people are used to run outside. A lot of people eat out, or they run in and out, go to the office, eat at work, and suddenly everybody was locked at home. And the first thing, due to anxiety, people were eating all the time. And after about a couple of these, they realized that they gained 2-3 kilos. And suddenly they had to think, take a break and think, and start planning your meal and say no more, not just eating all the time junk and everything that was in front of my eyes. People started, at least in Israel, people started taking control of their food. And they started saying, okay, if I'm home, I'll have to think and plan and change instead of just eat junk food, then I'll sit with the whole family, join the kids on the preparation, and start have healthy breakfast together, healthy lunch and healthy dinners. And instead of eating empty carbohydrates, then they would eat more salads and eggs and fish. And the food, instead of going shopping yourself, most people had the deliveries from supermarkets, but you could choose anything you wanted. So you can choose chicken or turkey or fish, and you are at home, there is all these times so you can sit quietly and cut your salads or stir fry and eat nuts and eat healthy meal. And people now, a lot of people are improving their eating habits, and they think of what they eat and plan and eat healthy.
So you're saying turn the lemon to lemonade, get the opportunity of having more control of the ingredients, of what goes, of what cooks in your house and goes in your mouth, correct?
And family eating, the parents and the children can prepare the food together and sit, how usually before the COVID-19, everyone came home at a different hour and grabbed sandwich from the fridge. So now you can prepare your meal together, sit together, eat quietly, and chat about everything, take anxiety out and discuss what are we afraid of or not afraid, and have a pleasant time of the family. And like you said, have a real lemonade that to improve your life.
Thank you. We're going to go back to you later, Shula, with more serious medical conditions that you see every day. Hillary, what is the most common concern among your clients in the past 3 months?
I would say it's quite similar to what Shula has experienced, where in the beginning, people were, on high anxiety, and there was definitely a lot more drinking wine and making cookies and going to comfort foods, maybe not exercising as much. And then I think the whole situation became a reality that this is not going away anytime soon, and we need to figure out a way to really deal with it and feel good about what you're doing. So there's definitely been a change. I think now too that the weather has been a lot nicer, more people are getting outside and exercising. And I think if we look at some sort of silver lining or positive that's come out of the situation, is that yes, like families are definitely eating together and taking a bit more time together, but people are outside so much more than they normally would have been. So a lot of people taking walks and exercising, riding bikes, and that's been a real positive turnaround. And I think at this point, more people are now focusing in again on what can I do to maintain a healthy diet? What can I do to get back into my exercise routine? And finding that there have been a lot of really creative ways to do that, from things that are online, going to CSAs, growing your own garden, and that's been a real positive change.
Right, so people are aware and they are doing the change or trying to do the change. So there is a question here from an anonymous attendee, and it relates to what we just talked about. How do I control my food craving? A lot of participants say, you know, it's great to know here and to know that this is what I need to do, this is what I need to cook and eat, but you sit at home so many hours, so many days, weeks, and months, and it's hard to control the craving. How do we control the craving? Who wants to take it first?
I can start on that I also teach yoga, and I talk to a lot of my clients about incorporating meditation into their daily practice. And if you have a goal that you want to achieve, and whether it's losing weight, being healthier, eating healthier, maybe it's running a 5K, like whatever it is, it's really putting your attention on that goal and being behind it 100%. And it's not easy. Like usually things that are really worth working towards are going to be some work, and it's not going to always be comfortable. But if you can start your morning off with a 3 or 5 minute meditation and really set your intention for the day, clear your mind, slow down a little bit, that can really help. A few other things that I find helpful as well are drinking more water. Often when you're dehydrated, you feel like you're hungry, and that can increase your cravings. So making sure that you wake up in the morning and drink a big glass of water. Before you grab for a snack or a meal, drink a big glass of water. Ensure that you're well hydrated, and also ensure that you're eating healthy meals throughout the day. If a goal is to lose weight, so you starve yourself all day, you're just going to have those cravings even stronger at night. So really making sure to fuel your body well is also really helpful.
Also,
yes, Shula, yes.
Choose your food for the craving. People think that carbohydrates is the thing, and they eat all kind of foods that are made of carbohydrates, and carbohydrates settle you down for just a little bit, but a couple of hours later, you're even in a worse situation. So instead of eat all these cookies and chips and things like that, then you can eat nuts or yogurt, and that will make it will fill you up, and it will keep you full for a longer time. So I tell my patients to try and not keep at home all these carbohydrate food items, you know, healthy bread or something, but not have all these cookies and stuff. In Israel, we have all these beastly and bamba. Maybe you saw it when you came to visit in Israel. And eat more walnuts and almonds. So when you really feel like eating something, have a little bit of that, and that will keep you happy for a longer time.
Thank you very much. And going back to the daily habit, how long does it take to change daily habits? And also, what type of out-of-the-box things can we do? Like Hillary, in our preparation conversation, you mentioned the important role of journaling that you apply with your clients. So how long does it take to change a habit, eating habits, and what are some out-of-the-box ideas to do it?
I believe that those changes, you don't have to prepare. You just came to see Hillary or another dietitian, and she talked with you, and as you came out of the door, you come out as another person. You come home, you change your cupboards, and that's it. Don't think like, those tomorrow I will be better means tomorrow will never come. Just in a second.
So make the decision and commit to it right away. But Shula, you're also mentioning that getting a guidance, a mentor to guide you along and to just support you on through this journey is important.
That's, I have a patient that send me a note, a WhatsApp note to summarize their daily. And it helps them, and it doesn't take anything from me. I just see it, and that's it. So it helps them, and so that for sure is good to have a mentor. Always help. But just make a decision and cut.
Make the decision and commit to it. Thank you very much, Shula. Hillary, would you like to add?
I think, as you were mentioning, the food journal is such a great tool to use. that most people don't realize the foods that they're eating if they don't write it down. And it's very easy to just walk by the kitchen and grab something, or mindlessly, eat your child's leftovers or whatever it is, the food that's in front of you, that if you're not writing down what you eat, to not be aware of it. And it's not something that I suggest you do for your entire life. Like, you don't want to be a slave to this, and you don't want food to be the only focus. But if you want to make a change, maybe take a week or two where you keep a journal. It could be on your phone, like in the notes section. You always have your phone on you. It could be on a piece of paper, whatever works for you, where literally as soon as you put something in your mouth, you write it down. And that can make you much more aware of your habits and help you with making the change. Because it can be difficult for a lot of people. They may really want to make a change and they want to do different things, but it's either that willpower or the stress, or maybe some outside factors that are making it a little bit more difficult. I agree to having someone to check in with on a regular basis. With my clients as well, I have them text me at the end of every day, just with like a quick note of how their day went in the beginning, just so you know that someone's looking out for you, someone's on the same page as you, even just to be their cheerleader. And maybe it means finding someone in your home that you want to do it with. Just to be in it together with somebody makes it a little bit easier and not so daunting.
Great. So we have another question here, going deeper into the specific things of ingredients of healthy eating. Is an anonymous attendee is asking, if you want to avoid sugars, can you still eat fruit? Can you tell us about that, the difference between high sugar fruit, and is it good for you? And answer this question. Yes.
First of all, I just want to say that there's somebody asked about nuts on the webinar, on the chat. So I really have a lot of experience with people that eat a lot of nuts, and I don't think it causes them any gaining weight. They're just afraid, but no reason. You can eat as many nuts as you want. But if you look for something crunchy added to it, then you can also have vegetables like carrot sticks or celery sticks to replace some of the nuts. But I'm not afraid of nuts. I haven't seen one person that gained weight from eating too many nuts. So usually people think it's the nuts, but it's really something else that was added to their daily meal. And as for fruit, especially for Israeli, it's a big problem. I don't know if you remember from your visits in Israel, but I don't think there's anyone in the world that eat as many fruits a day as Israel. And now with the summer, so we are loaded with peaches and grapes and apricots and pears. And now we have cherries too. The strawberry just finished and we have cherries instead. So because I work with diabetes, I'm afraid to say that fruit, it should not be said in one sentence with vegetables. Vegetables are very good for you. Fruit are a big problem. Almost every fruit has at least 3 teaspoons of sugar in it. One little peach and it's 3 teaspoons. So if, you'll find a lot of Israelis that eat 5, 6, 7 portions of fruit a day, and it's not good for them. They can get all the vitamin A that they want, or folic acid they like in the vegetables. And it's better to eat more peppers or tomato or carrot, and don't overdo your fruit. It's not, and that is without even talking about watermelon. It's watermelon season here. And I hate to say, but you cannot compare a watermelon that grew around the Beersheba district to a New York watermelon. So people can eat a lot of watermelon in Israel, and they better not do it.
Okay, we're going to talk about cultural and environmental differences in a moment. Hillary, would you like to add about fruit and sugar? I know that this morning I made myself a smoothie with vegetables and fruits, but the fruit make it taste so much better.
Yes.
What is your take on the fruits?
And so fruit is healthy. I mean, it definitely has a lot of vitamins and minerals and fiber and lots of great phytonutrients. And so, and I don't think Shula is saying either, like, you don't want to eat any fruit at all, but it is watching the portions, that it's very easy to eat a ton of fruit or drink a lot of fruit juice, and it really is taking in a lot of sugar. And obviously, like, a cup of orange juice is healthier than a cup of soda, but it still has a lot of sugar. So I don't recommend that people drink fruit juice. And as far as eating fruit, it's just watching your portions. It's not an unlimited amount like vegetables are. I had a smoothie this morning too. I threw in like a half a cup of frozen cherries and then like a big handful of spinach. You know, you can add more vegetables, but you have that balance in there for flavor. And doing things like berries are a great option. They're lower in calories. They're, for the portion size, you get a lot of fiber and it's really filling. So it really is a matter of watching portions, but not cutting it out completely.
And seeing which fruit, you know, there are different qualities of, yes, Shula?
With one or two, and I wanted to ask Hillary to say about her smoothie, because like she said, she takes a little bit of fruit and adds a lot of leaves, which make it a good smoothie.
Yes.
Yeah, Hillary, you want to share with us your recipe quickly?
The recipe this morning was a big handful of spinach, a half a cup of frozen cherries, 2 tablespoons of flaxseed, and then I did like a half a cup of coconut water.
Very good. Does that replace breakfast?
That was, yes.
Okay.
And that's the other thing too, that's I think a good point to bring up, is that sometimes people think of a smoothie as just being a beverage, whereas typically a smoothie is a meal. So you do want to be careful that you're not using it as like a beverage with everything else, but it really is a meal replacement.
What about there are different diets out there, the fasting diet and other diets out there. Which diet do you recommend, and is it good to not eat for such a long period of time and then eat? You know, what kind of diets? I'm sure you've been approached by many people about different types of diets, and I am guessing that different types of diets vary, and it has to do with the fit to the person. But what do you have to say about the more popular diets that are going on right now? Shula?
Any diet for everyone. It's a very, very tailored treatment, and each person try to get within the diet that suits him. And we have lots of researchers that check this our thing. For example, right now there was a study about diabetes, and they found out that these 5 meals a day was not really true, and 3 meals a day is enough. And I have people that eat just once a day because that's how their day is built, and other that eat more meals, and everybody's okay. You just have to choose your diet. You know, we are great fans of the Mediterranean diet in Israel, but that's not a Weight Watchers diet, or it's just a healthy eating, to eat fish instead of beef, and eat lots of, to use olive oil as the oil that you use, and eat nuts, and eat lentils, and eat whole grains instead of plain white grains. So it's a healthy way of life, but the way you cut your food around the day should be personalized. You know, I think everyone should sit with a dietitian that will see his schedule. When is he working? When is he doing his physical activity? What does he like to eat? If he eats if he likes big meals or small meals, and have your own personal plan. There is no one plan fits all.
Okay. We have more questions coming in. So quickly about the different types of diets, Hillary.
Yeah, I would agree. There is no one size fits all. The intermittent fasting, I think, is what you were kind of alluding to before. It can be really beneficial for a lot of people, but there are some people that don't feel good when they eat that way. So it really does depend on the individual. And I'd say what I would avoid in a diet is anything that's telling you like that you can't eat real food, you know, that's all like packaged, pre-made, you know, things like that is not that healthy, and it's not sustainable. Or any diet that's telling you to cut out an entire category of food is probably not sustainable either. So you want to look for something that's not just for a quick fix, but is a lifetime that you can really do.
Speaking about diets, I have 2 more quick questions about it. One is it healthy to lose weight quickly, regardless of the sustainability challenge of it, but is it healthy?
That also depends on where you're starting from. Like if you're starting from, you know, a very high weight, then losing weight quickly, it could be a lot of water weight that you're losing. You know, it's not necessarily losing a lot of body fat. If you know, maybe you're someone that has like 10 or 15 pounds to lose, and it's really not that much. If you lose weight very quickly, you're most likely losing a combination of water, muscle, and body fat, whereas most people really just want to lose body fat. Like it's nice maybe to see a low number on the scale, but that doesn't really mean anything if your body composition is off. So when you're looking to truly lose body fat, you're probably looking at about a half a pound to 2 pounds of body fat like per week that you can lose for the average person. But rapid weight loss is most likely not healthy. Again, maybe if you have like over 100 pounds to lose, you might see a rapid weight loss in the beginning, but other than that, it's not something I would recommend.
Okay,
Sure.
thank you. Hey, Shula?
So many people that wanted to lose lots of weight in a short time. Let's say a girl wanted to get married, kilos less than what she is now, and in 3 months she wants to lose everything, or for another reason like that. And usually those people can be very strict about their diet, but not long after they stop, everything comes back with an extra. So these yo-yo diets are not doing anything good to your metabolism. Actually, every diet becomes harder. Your body learns to use its calories better, and it doesn't work well. So, you know, of course, if you have a lot to lose and you did something drastic, like let's say bariatric surgery, which a lot of people do here in Soroka even. So for sure, the first few months, if you cannot eat hardly anything, you will lose a lot. And then because there is a big change in your body, maybe that will last. But if you just, by cutting down your food, lose a lot of weight in a short time, so everything that happens is just like Hillary said, you probably lose water in some of your muscles mass, and before you know it, they come back.
Okay, so there are 4 questions. I'm going to put it in one question. What are your views on dairy? Is red meat healthy for you, especially for children? Is there like an age difference with that? What do you think about plant-based diets? And can diets or changing diets affect nursing?
Okay, so should I start?
Sure.
It's a big debatable subject. A lot of people actually made the religion out of eating not without dairy, but the truth is that the dairy products have good protein in them, and they're not bad for you if they are rich in calcium. And you can, if some people are allergic to lactose, and that could be tested in a very simple test. And if you're allergic to lactose, then you shouldn't eat it. But if you are found negative for lactase deficiency, then it's a very good food, and it's full of protein and calcium, and it might be very good for you. So I wouldn't recommend it to nobody, but if somebody says I'm against milk products, then I'll find him a diet that doesn't have it in it. About vegetarian, you can be vegetarian, and you can also be a child vegetarian. I have children even that don't eat milk and eggs, and they just eat vegans, and it's okay. But to be a healthy vegan, you have to think about it, because there is a good chance that especially if you're a child and you're growing, there is a chance you will not eat protein enough. So you must think about, you cannot just say what I don't eat. You cannot say I don't eat chicken, I don't eat meat, but I eat the rest. No, you've got to think how you combine your vegetables, how you eat enough lentils and legumes, and get your protein from a vegetable source. And you can be very healthy only eating only those things. I have a daughter like that, but you have to think, you have to be smart. About beef. Nursing is okay. You can, the only thing you have to make sure when you nurse is that you drink a lot of water. Our body is very smart, and for sure the milk will have everything that it needs, but you have to make sure you drink a lot, and of course eat healthy, but you can definitely be vegan and nurse, no problem.
Can you also change your diet in the middle of nursing? It does not affect anything?
We have a lot of women that nurse, and they eat without meat and stuff. No problem, but you have to make sure, because you don't need to use milk products. Then you have to make sure you get your calcium elsewhere, and your iron. It's a big problem because iron comes from meat. So if you don't eat any meat, you have to make sure that you will get enough iron. But usually the one who suffers is the mother. Our body is very smart. The mother milk will contain all the necessities, and the mother is actually rubbing her own body, and she can have osteoporosis because her body will take all the calcium from her bones to the milk. So the baby will get a proper diet, but she will be not as healthy. So she should make sure to eat her protein and her calcium and iron from other sources. And you can get them from vegetables, but you have to think, that you're doing it right. But as for, you asked about beef too. I think that beef should, I believe it's healthy to eat less beef than a lot of people do. Not even to talk about, Hillary mentioned sustainability, and the beef is exploiting our world by, you need so much more energy to produce a steak than to eat the same amount of chicken meat or fish or vegetables. So for sure, but also the people that raise cattle for beef, you don't know what they put. A lot of added things are there to the meat, and also people eat a lot of processed meat. So I would say beef is better to eat less and less, and especially if you have a problem like, let's say, kidney disease, then once a month is enough. So you have to be very careful about your beef, I'd say.
Thank you very much. Hillary?
So I believe that a plant-based diet can really be a very healthy diet to follow for a lot of people. Definitely for the environment, as Shula mentioned, like better sustainability of the planet by eating fewer animals, but also just for your body in general. Cutting out dairy, really limiting red meat can have a big effect on your cholesterol levels. It can affect cancer. You can get calcium from green leafy vegetables, from almonds. A lot of the nut milks are also fortified with calcium, so you can get some calcium from there as well. And possibly, I saw there was a question too about recommending different vitamins. This is a time to speak about that. Like, you might need extra calcium, you might need extra iron. If you're eating a plant-based diet, you will most definitely need a B12 supplement. Vitamin D is something that everybody could use, not just being plant-based. But again, this is a time, if you're deciding that you want to be plant-based, is a really good time to come and speak with an expert to make sure that you're getting in everything that you need. Because I've heard a lot of people that will say, I'm vegetarian, but all they're eating is like pasta and like cheese. I'm like, you can't be a vegetarian if you don't eat vegetables. So it's really focusing on like, what are all the good foods you're going to eat and how are you going to fuel your body well and make sure you get in all these nutrients. But you can definitely see great health effects by going towards a more plant-based diet. And it also doesn't have to be all or nothing. So if you cut back and you just increase the amount of plant-based meals you have and cut back on your meat consumption, you can definitely see a big difference in your health as well.
Somebody,
right. Yes.
Calcium, dairy, if they don't eat dairy. So a good source of calcium is, like Hillary said, the nuts and the leaves, but also tahina. A whole tahina you can from sesame seeds is good in calcium. But sometimes if you don't eat dairy, then you better have an additive. Take it in as a supplement.
Okay, so to that, we have one more question about that. What is the best source of calcium without the dairy?
So I think we answered that.
Okay. So we're moving on. There is a question here about the new situation. We're sitting at home. Not all of us have the ability, the time, or the desire to cook. What do you think about ordering out and takeaway? And how do we control that in our diet, integrated to our diet?
So definitely a lot of people are ordering in. It's amazing. I love to cook, and being home with my family these past few months, it was almost shocking. I felt like I was constantly cooking meals. It's like, I have 2 children and my husband's here, and you're like making breakfast and lunch and dinner and constantly in the kitchen. So I think ordering in is a great option, but you just have to be careful with how you do it. And this is something I used to talk to my clients when I worked more in New York City about, because people would order in and go out to dinner all the time. And you kind of have to think of it that same way, that if you're doing it on a regular basis and it's pretty consistent, it's not a special occasion. So every time you go, you can't have get dessert or get something extravagant in some crazy meal, but really being careful and making good choices. And just about every single restaurant has something you can get that would fit into a healthy diet. And that's something too that I will do for my clients, that they will send me menus of restaurants they go to, and I'll go through and tell them, these are the best things to order, or this is the way to order this certain meal. And looking for keywords like if something's crispy, it's probably fried, or if you're getting a salad, get the dressing on the side and do it yourself. Just having little tricks like that. And then you can order in, do takeaway, and be really healthy, but you do have to be mindful of your choices.
Right. We see more and more restaurants actually putting the ingredients on the menu, which is nice. And also we see a lot of grocery shops that have a ready-made with the ingredients. All you need to do is press a little button and it's also ready for you. Shula, do you want to add? You live in a kibbutz in the Negev. How many times a week do you do a takeout or order in?
Say, but even in Israel, in the smallest places, there is that option. Of course, in Israel, you do different things. We have also pizzas and hamburgers and all the junk food that you have. But we also have falafel, which could be better for you because it's really made from chickpeas. And people do quite a lot of it. People go out.
No, it's deep fried. It's deep fried.
But it's better to deep fry chickpeas than deep fry other things. Right. But actually in Israel, eat out more and more than they used to. Even on our kibbutz, there is a pizzeria and 2 more places that you can have food brought you from the outside. So I believe in what Hillary said. You have to think about it as an ordinary thing and not say, wow, it's food out, so I'll eat everything. But if you do it 3 times a week, so it's not rare anymore. So if you eat a big chocolate cake 3 times a week, because it's takeout, so it will end up too much for you. So plan, have more vegetable-based dishes and chicken and fish. For example, a lot of people don't like to cook fish at home because it smells. So I recommend when they go out to choose the fish dish, which can be very tasty, and then somebody else touched it with his fingers when he prepared it. So you get a healthy meal and you eat out. So you just have to think and plan and not use it as the only meal a month, but a regular base. So it should be planned.
So let's talk about a continuation to this, about our children. Our children obviously love to eat. Some love to eat processed food or ready-made. They even have, some of them, peer pressure of going out with with friends. Well, not so much lately, but eating junk food. How do we communicate with our children about eating healthy, other than actually serving as a role model at home, and communicating and changing their eating habits, especially when they're so much under peer pressure?
So you actually gave the answer in the question. The best thing is to have a good role model at home. I tell the parents always, if you cut a vegetable salad, then you eat it in front of your children and you enjoy it and you say to your kids, oh, leave me some, don't eat the whole thing on your own, so they understand that it's good and they will love it. So, in Israel, there was a big project with making the food at the kindergartens healthy. And the children used to get meals before that. They used to get like pasta and like schnitzel, these little bits of breadcrumbs in, very bad food. And the Ministry of Health wrote special regulations about what you can eat in the kindergartens, and they changed the food completely, and they started serving the kids quinoa and burgul and the lentils, and the children started eating it. And I see in my house, a house of a dietitian, so I serve salmon, and the little kids, 4 years old, they eat it and they love it. So if the parents like it, good food, healthy food, then the children will definitely do the same. But you cannot serve your child vegetable and eat on the side a sandwich and drink your Coke and tell him the Coke is only for adults and I get the sandwich, but you have to eat healthy, because then the kid will like his food.
Thank you. Hillary?
And I think it definitely gets complicated. I mean, I think the best thing you can do is, as a parent, especially if you have young children, is to start them off from a really young age, just eating everything. There's this idea, especially here in America, where there's like kids food and adult food. And it really should just all be the same. And so from a young age, I mean, I gave my kids everything. And still to this day, I mean, they'll eat salmon, they eat Brussels sprouts, they like broccoli, they have hummus, they'll try almost anything. But they would also love me to buy Doritos and have soda in the house, which I just don't have. And it does get tricky because not every parent feels the same way. So it's this fine line between showing them good habits, teaching them that good healthy food makes them feel better, but also allowing some treats so they don't end up going out to a friend's house and then going crazy and eating everything. But that I try to talk to my kids about fueling your body really well. Both of my kids are athletes, and we'll talk about how you'll just feel so much better when you eat better. But we do also have some treats in the house, and I try to make them as healthy as possible. And it's really hard for me, but I try to let them have some things that aren't so healthy, just so it's not this taboo food that they go and try to hide in the closet and eat. So it definitely becomes tricky when they're, probably this like elementary school, middle school age. And then I think they get to a point again where they want to make good choices and it's important to them and it's not just coming from a parent.
So
not to push, don't push your kids. Don't tell them you cannot eat that or you must eat or because then they'll rebel against you and will eat the opposite. So it has to be friendly and with communication and without pushing.
And as you said, so Shula, celebrating the healthy food, wanting to, do it in a celebrating, festive way and fun way. But now it gets a little more tricky during the past few months because, as you said, Hillary, your kids are athletic, but there are restrictions and people cannot do, the team play as it used to be. So we are more at home. And we have children. So there's one question here saying, how do I deal with my child who gained a lot of weight in just the past couple of months? And there's another question that said, how do I deal with myself? And we touched on it with, with previous questions, but specifically with a child that gained weight in the past couple of months. Is there any way to talk with them? Yeah.
First thing is don't make an issue out of it. If your kid gained weight and you suddenly realize it and you start looking at his plate and every time you see him taking a chocolate, you tell him, oh, don't have a chocolate, you already gained enough in those couple of months. And for sure, the minute you lay your eyes off him, he will eat double the amount. So the first thing is not to make an issue out of it. And if your kid had good habits before, then he will eventually come back to it. So if you push, you'll just establish the bad habits and have a problem for a longer time. But just like we have a Zoom about nutrition, right, all these days the TV is full on YouTube. You can find lots of physical activity that you can do with the children in Israel. A lot of the family room turned to a gym place. You put the TV on exercises for children and the whole family practice together. I see my grandchildren jump, each one on his own pace. The 9 years old is doing these exercises and the 4 years old is doing whatever she can, but add physical activity to their day at home too. And like I said, promote healthy food, but don't push and don't get worried. If your kid was slim before and gained because he was in a quarantine now, gained some weight. So if you push him, then he will keep this weight forever. And for sure, when life will go back to normal, the normal weight will come back. But just promote healthy food. Don't make an issue out of it.
Okay, thank you very much. Hillary, quickly, we have at least 6 more questions here. Yes.
Okay, I'll be really quick. But something you can add to that too is coming up with a physical activity that they are going to be excited about. And I know in our house, my daughter's a gymnast and obviously hasn't been in the gym in like 3 months. And she's decided that she wants to become like an American Ninja Warrior. And so we did some research. I said, okay, if you really want to do this, it's going to be hard work, but you can do it. let's start doing all these different activities first, and you need to train. And it was something that she's excited to do, so it made it fun. And I agree, if you like push your child to do something, they'll usually go the opposite direction. So make it fun, find something they're passionate about. I know in our town, they have a 5K run every summer that they're going to do kind of virtually, because they're not going to have everyone come together. But so as a family, we just all decided we're going to start training for it and do it together. So finding ways to make it fun and do it together, I think, are a really great way to encourage them to get more activity.
Our community,
Yeah, Shula.
saying that our community do triathlon and all the children are part of it, and each one on his own. You know, there's the long triathlon that the adults do, but for the children they have like 1 mile of running and another one of quarter of a mile swimming, and the whole community is doing sports, and it's great to see.
Right. And there's a lot of availability online to follow exercises. And there's also the bike ride. Now it's a better weather here in New York. And there's a lot of many options to do together and alone and follow. So a couple more questions. If we are talking about COVID-19, let's stay on the subject. There is a question saying, what food is good to support immune system? And there's another question here that is, what about probiotics and supplements to improve the immune system, especially during the time of COVID? If you can address that.
So eating a healthy, balanced diet is great all the time to help prevent sickness and disease and keep your body strong and healthy. So focusing on antioxidants, so like brightly colored fruits and vegetables, every different color contains a different nutrient. So really getting in a wide variety of healthy fruits and vegetables every day, really important. I think a probiotic is also a great idea. Gut health can really affect the rest of the health in your body. So keeping your gut healthy is really important. That too, I feel like when you're taking supplements, always good to get a specific recommendation for you. So I don't like to give out just a general, name or idea, because it really is different for everybody and what your situation is, but a probiotic can be really helpful. And I don't know if I can tie in, there are 2 questions here in the Q&A that kind of go along with that a little bit, of like talking about caffeine and then also thoughts on this chickpea pasta, just in general, healthy eating. Doing things like the banza, like chickpea pasta, that's a great way to get in like more beans, especially with kids, if they don't want to eat beans, but it's pasta that's truly made just out of chickpea flour. My kids eat it, they love it. I've had kids come to my house who won't eat it because it's not real pasta. It's definitely a little like gummy and it's not the same consistency, but it is a good option for getting in a lot more protein in a pasta-like form. And as far as caffeine can be healthy. I mean, some research shows that it can prevent against Parkinson's disease. It can help release free fatty acids into your bloodstream and give you more endurance when you're exercising. You just want to watch the amount of caffeine that you're taking in. If you get to the point where you're feeling like shaky and jittery and uncomfortable, you've gone too far. If you notice that you're feeling a little dizzy, lightheaded, maybe low blood sugar, caffeine can make you feel like your blood sugar is low, even when it's not. So you want to be careful of that. And it can also leach some calcium from your bones. So having like a cup or 2 of coffee a day, probably fine. Having like 5 or 6 cups of coffee a day may be a little too much. So, we want to really look, not even just with the COVID-19, but in general, keeping our body fit and healthy is taking in all these different practices.
Thank you. Yes, Shula?
So in the studies about additives for the COVID-19, so vitamin D was found to be probably missing from the people that were sick. So there is a thought that you need extra vitamin D. Also, the COVID-19 came during the winter when people are, because you can produce your own vitamin D if you're in the sun, but because people spend more time at home, and also especially elderly people take lots of medication that makes them have less vitamin D. So you might be able to strengthen your immune system with the vitamin D. And so that for sure is okay to eat. Yes, I think Hillary described the rest very nice. So
okay, there's a specific question here.
Probiotics you can also eat from yogurts. A lot of yogurt with probiotics in it, so you catch two birds together. So
There's a participant asked about a diet advice for colitis sufferers, which he is one, and also what food is good for microbiome. So Shula?
about the colitis, colitis is a chronic disease that has two phases. There is the acute phase, and there is the remission time. So if I start with remission, during remission, you really can eat everything, and you should try and eat healthy. Everything that Hillary said before is exactly what you should eat. That is whole grains, vegetables. You can even eat milk products during the remission. And the healthier you eat, the healthier your immune system, then you can prolong the remission. But when there is the acute phase, and that's when your body cannot digest lots of the foods, so you need something that we call elimination diet, and then you have to stay away from a lot of things like milk products, because the lactase is getting lost while the guts are sick. So no milk products. A lot of time you cannot eat fiber. You have to eat fiber-free diet. So the diet is very, very limited, and you must have a dietitian that guides you, in person for what you can eat and not eat. It's very personal. Sometimes I treated people that during the acute phase, all they could get was a formula that all the molecules, the proteins are broken to amino acids, the fats are broken to fatty acids, and so that comes in a formula. You cannot even eat your food, so it's very personal. That's about colitis. And what was the other thing that you?
The microbiome.
So the microbiome actually is good for a whole webinar on its own. But I don't know if you heard it in America. It's in America too. There's a company called VII, and they actually came from it was developed in Weizmann Institute here in Israel. What they did, they checked the influence of foods on the blood sugar of people, and they found out that the same food, let's say you give a banana to 10 people, and each one has a different effect on his blood sugar. Some people, they will have a big rise in their sugar, and the sugar will jump from the banana, and other people nothing. And they realized that there is something within the person that we influence and that is exactly your microbiome. So they mapped the microbiome of quite a few people, and they saw that it's completely different between people. And the microbiome affects how food affects your blood sugar. So everyone has his own microbiome, and so they should eat different foods. You can say that for most people, whole grains will be better than white flours. But I saw people that, for example, watermelon was good for them, and other people that watermelon was very bad for them. So people that did that test, and in Israel quite a few people do it, you have it in America too, they learn to see their microbiome, and they can see that that if you eat according to your microbiome, then you have very personal variety of food that you should follow. So another thing that you asked, if you can influence, people say, okay, I see my results and I don't like my microbiome, so I want to change it. How can I change it? And the truth is, you cannot really change it. Even if you try very hard and you eat different bacteria containing foods, it doesn't last. They checked it, and they saw that people can take antibiotics and change their microbiome altogether, and 3 months later, it's completely back to what it was before the antibiotics. Or people fly from, let's say, Israel to New York, and for maybe 48 hours, there is a change, and again, the microbiome goes back to what it was. So we don't know we know that each one has a different population of bacteria in the guts, but we do not know how to change. Let's say if we see somebody is slim, so I say, I would like a sample of his bacteria, so I will become slim too by having but it doesn't work. I can transplant the microbiome of one person to the other, and the person that got the transplant, before you know it, will get his population back. So we know that the microbiome plays an important role in how food turns to sugar in your blood, but we don't know how to change it.
Okay, thank you. We have two more questions here at least. Then we will have to finish at 1 p.m. Eastern time. So the question here is that some people, especially now when have anxiety, they actually have the opposite problem of most that we talked about, which is they want to gain weight. They stop eating, especially in anxiety, but even with that, regardless. How do you gain weight, especially also for children and for adults? And also, is there any food that reduce anxiety or uplift the mood?
So for weight gain, I would typically recommend adding in like calorie dense foods. So it could be things like dried fruit, nuts. If you're going to make a smoothie, maybe add some extra almond butter or peanut butter into it just to increase the caloric intake. Adding things like avocado, like looking for good, healthy fats. You don't want to think, oh, this person needs to gain weight, let's give them hamburgers and French fries. Like, you don't want to gain it in an unhealthy way, but to put on healthy weight, maybe having a bigger serving of grains, upping your portions a little bit, or if you're feeling really anxious so you're not eating and that's the problem, I find that the smoothies can be helpful because sometimes just drinking something can be a bit easier than like consuming a whole meal, especially if you're feeling anxious. And if you have children that are really underweight, I feel like those things too, maybe you can give them snacks of mixed dried fruit and nuts and whole grain pretzels, or a banana with peanut butter on it. You know, finding ways to add in those healthy fats throughout the day can be really beneficial.
Thank you. Yes, Shula?
I would say this is the first time when Hillary and I think completely different. So I had, you know, I within my years, I had quite a few patients that came to me with the request to gain weight. And usually my answer to them is just stop it. Just, you know, your treatment should be, you should stand every morning in front of the mirror and say, I'm great as I am. Because I don't really believe in pushing food. Usually, even if I said before that when you lose weight in a rush, you will gain it back, here it's even more than that. I had patients, for example, in Israel, to join the army, you have to weigh a certain amount. You know, should have, if you're low, then they won't draft you. So patients will come and say, I need to gain 4, 5, 6 kilos. Otherwise, they won't take me. And you can help them, but before you know it, they'll come back. So if it came from an emotional, usually the people that lost weight because they became depressed, there is an emotional problem, and you should treat the emotional problem, but not by trying to push more food, just by understand where is your anxiety coming from and how you will relax and take the burden off your shoulders and go back to your normal eating. But usually when you eat rich calories foods, then you'll get full faster. And if you count the whole calories per day, you'll see that maybe the person ate calorie-rich foods, but altogether they didn't eat that much. You know, for example, with babies that have problem, you know, when I started being a dietitian a few years ago, so we used to think that the thin babies should enrich their formula with fats and carbohydrates, so it will be richer. And for the fat babies, they used to give slim formula. And they realized that they made a mistake, because the slim babies would eat just a little bit of this extra rich formula and will get so full that they wouldn't eat anything else. And the fat babies would devour tons of formula and weren't never happy. So now they do the opposite. The fat babies, they let them eat, you know, they give them a formula with fat and everything, so they will be full after, you know, just a normal portion. And you know, you change the attitude. So I think you should let the people eat. First of all, being slim is not bad for you. Most people you know, it's okay. If you look at elderly people, you know, people that reach 90 and 100, most of them are slim, so it will just keep you going for longer years. And if there is you know, there's an emotional issue that got you to stop eating, then treat it.
Okay, thank you very much. So one last question before we end, but we're going to squeeze in another before last question from Rachel Heisler. What is your recommended or favorite healthy comfort food?
So one of the things I love to make with my kids are baked apples, where we just core the apples, put them in a pan, sprinkle them with cinnamon and some water, and bake them in the oven until they're kind of mushy, and keep the skin on, you know, you want the fiber, everything. And they come out tasting like apple pie, and they're delicious. And you feel like you're eating something a little more decadent than just eating an apple, but that's really all it is. And I think that's such a great thing to make. It makes the house smell wonderful, and they're really so good.
So mine is much more simple. I'm a great, when I need something, and I also recommend it to a lot of my patients, I believe in bittersweet chocolate. And so now there is very bitter chocolate, like 85% cocoa in it. And I recommend to keep it in the freezer so it becomes very hard. And you take just a small, you know, maybe a square or two, and because it's hard from the freezer, you could eat it slowly, and it's, I think it's okay, and it's not so bad as eating pastry and all these chips things. So my comfort food is bittersweet chocolate.
Very good, thank you. You both help so many people feel better, become healthier, and really doing a lot of great work around you. So I want to ask you, as we end this inspiring and informative session with you, I want to ask you, what's your one, I'm sure you have many, but one memorable moment of pride that you remember helping another person or just making a difference? What is a thing that you're proud of when you come at home at night?
So I think the most, I work with a lot of clients that weight loss is a concern. I think that's the number one reason why people often come in and seek an appointment. But I have one client in particular that I worked with that weight loss was an issue, but she was also on a lot of different medications and just felt like she was too young to be on all of this medication. And over the course of a few years of working together, where she lost a lot of weight, really changed her eating habits, really just felt better about herself and the choices she was making, and then really surprised her doctor by getting off of her blood pressure medication, decreasing her cholesterol lowering medication. And she just felt really good and empowered that that was the result of the changes she made. That while it's great to go in your closet and throw on a pair of jeans that fit really well, like that feels amazing, but it's really amazing to take control of your health and just feel so much better, and knowing that you've done this for yourself.
Thank you very much. Shula?
So as I was introduced before, I'm also a diabetes educator, and I spend a big time of my days in the diabetes clinic. So one of the things I'm very proud of is that I have lots of Bedouin young women with patients with type 1 diabetes. And a lot of people think that they're not as educated, so their treatment wasn't as advanced. And I had great belief in those girls, and I felt like they deserve the best treatment ever. The way that we recommend people with type 1 diabetes is to count their carbs and not calculate the amount of fast rapid insulin that they give according to the carbs in their diet. And before I started being very involved in it, they thought that those Bedouin girls, they could never catch this method, and they just gave him this, let's say for breakfast, take always 6 units, for lunch 12, like this. And I felt that it's not fair, that if that's the good way, then I can teach them to count their carbs and calculate their insulin, the amount of insulin needed. So I developed this very simple tool to calculate how much insulin you have to give your meal. And I taught those girls, and in the beginning, everybody said, leave it, it will never work. for them. Just that's the way it's going to be. But I can think of even 10 girls, but I can definitely think of one girl that that said no, there's no. Everybody said no way, and now she's an expert. She finished her master's, and we use her. She nobody even thinks that she cannot calculate her carbs. And she's now our support when I have a new girl that don't believe in herself and the doctors don't believe. So I asked the girl that was first to be like her tutor, and they talk between themselves and they help each other. And I'm so proud that all these people that nobody thought can be modern, and they are with balanced diabetes, and they are treated just like anyone with type 1 diabetes.
Toda Rabba. Thank you very much. Thank you all the participants, attendees of coming and making it so stimulating and a lovely, a great informative session. Thank you very much. American Friends of Soroka Medical Center, the board president, executive director, and a special thank you to Shula and Hillary for being our guest experts today and enriching us with your expertise.
Can I tell you a little bit about the dietitians in Soroka?
Of course, we would like, we have a couple of more minutes over time, but we can do it quickly. We always like to hear about Soroka. Yes, Shula.
I did some homework. So in Soroka, we have about 1,200 beds. We're only 16 there are only 16 positions of dietitians. So, not all of us work a full-time job. So there are about 25 of us. And we did about 25,000 treatments a year. From them, about 19,000 were with adults and about 6,000 children, meetings with children. We have a month about 250 treatments that we prepare a TPN nutrition for the patients, and we are very involved. You can see now dietitian specialist in the nephrology department, oncology. We have a big group of dietitians that work in the pediatric wards. We have a dietitian in the neonatal unit. So you can see us everywhere. And if a few years ago, nobody understood what we actually do there, and they thought we belong in the kitchen. So now that all the medical team cannot be with us. I was telling you about this baby that was just born 5 days ago, and in a regular screening, they found out that he has a metabolic disease where he cannot digest 2 amino acids, and we had to get a special formula. So the dietitians are a very important team in the medical team in Soroka, and we, this week was the nutrition week in the international week. So we also feel very special and appreciated.
Thank you so much. We were supposed to come mission to Israel, American Friends of Soroka, actually in a couple of weeks, and we are eager to resume it when everything else comes to a more normal lifestyle, and we will come to visit you in person. Thank you for everything you do. And here you go. And Rachel, do you want to add anything? We can hear you. Here's unmuting. And thank you, everybody. Rachel?
I just want to say thank you so much to everybody. This was amazing. Learned so much. And please keep in touch with us.
Thank you. Yes, Shula?
I'm looking forward to see you all in Israel.
Yes, and please keep in touch with us. You can check this recorded video on soroka.org and other videos of Ask the Expert, and get on our list so you can participate, take part in future events and activities. Thank you so much. Toda Rabba. Be healthy. Be well.
Thank you.